Hello and welcome to this course on Firewall Management 201. I'm Professor Wool, and today we're going to discuss synchronized object management in a multi-vendor environment. So we're talking about firewall management and firewall objects. And imagine that you're in an organization that, due to past mergers and acquisitions or changes in purchasing policies, you have multiple firewalls from multiple vendors. So in this sketch here we have a purple firewall vendor managing these three firewalls with its own management solution. Then there's the brown firewalls made by a different brand of different manufacturer with its own management system. And then there's also a standalone black firewall that's managed directly on the command line. And all of these three environments allow you to define objects, give names to networks and hosts, but they're not synchronized in any way. So you have a challenge of you don't have a single source of truth for the naming. And this could create a couple of types of confusions and mistakes. One of them being, suppose you have a definition in the purple environment called branches, which means two separate subnets. And then in the brown environment you also have an object called branches, but it just has the one subnet defined as the meaning of this name. So you have a mismatch. You have the same name with two different meanings in the two environments. But that's not the only problem. You could have also situations where in the brown environment you have the name branches for this subnet, and in the black environment you have a definition for the same subnet, but it has a slightly different spelling in the name. So you have different names, same meaning, you get a duplicate. Neither of these is very useful for management. It just creates confusion. And the point in which this confusion starts creating real problems is when you have a new change request. Somebody needs to allow, for instance, DNS access from the branches to some DNS server. And then you might need to understand, what does this mean? Which definition of branches is this change request referring to? Is it this one or is it this one? And regardless of the correct one, you need to be able to also update the black environment that doesn't use this name, but you still need to configure it so that it allows the traffic that's necessary. This is where a network security policy management solution can come to our assistance, because what such a solution does, being a multi-vendor solution, it actually connects to all of these environments and at a minimum is able to import the names from all the different environments and retain copies inside its own database, so that when you make the change request, technically you can specify which copy you mean that you want to allow the access to. Now the question becomes, are you in a legacy situation or are you in a greenfield situation? If you're in a legacy situation, which means that these different separate environments have grown organically over the years and you are in a messy condition, you have mismatches and duplicates and general uncertainty, then the sort of best you can do with a network security policy management is import all of these definitions into one place, and then you're making a change request. You select the best meaning out of all the choices, and you deploy the same meaning on all the devices. So these connections are actually bidirectional, and when the change request is being implemented, the network security policy management system actually pushes the definitions out towards either the management systems or the direct devices, and then it helps you harmonize and synchronize the names for the future. If you are in a situation where you have the same name defined multiple times, or maybe the name is completely missing, such an approach might create more duplicates, because it needs to, let's say you want the two network definition to be deployed everywhere. It will be created with a new name in the black environment, and then you'll have a duplicate. but at least the duplicates have the same name across different vendors. And then you have room for cleanup projects, which means going back, using the reporting capabilities and finding mismatches and duplicates and standardizing on one or the other and eliminating the other ones. So this is what you can do in a legacy situation, and over time things get better if you use the powers of the policy management system effectively. Then all the new definitions will become synchronized. If you're in a greenfield situation where you're actually deploying new requests and new rules on the firewalls, and you're defining new objects everywhere rather than using existing ones, then you can make sure that you define them once and deploy them equally across all vendors, and then you don't run into this problem. From the beginning, you create a situation where the names have the same meanings everywhere. So the takeaway from this lesson is pay attention to your naming across different objects and different firewall vendor environments, and use an intelligent solution that helps you synchronize the naming across all of them. Thank you for your attention.